Have you ever wondered what your English level is? Well, if you're looking for a fun and interactive way to discover your level of English, you might be in the right place. I say might be in the right place because the truth is you won't really know accurately your English level from this video or from any YouTube video, really. However, this is a fun way to get a rough idea of where you stand. I mean, what your level is. Hello, this is Keith from English Speaking Success and the website Keith Speaking Academy. Well, my goal here is to help you develop your speaking skills in a fun and professional way. And if you're taking IELTS to help you face the examiner with confidence. Now, it's really important to know your level of English, mainly because then you can study materials that are appropriate for your level. If they're too hard, you're demotivated. If they're too easy, it's boring, right? So, and also, if you're going to study a course, face-to-face or online, it helps you choose the right course. It can also help you focus on your weaknesses, things that you don't yet know properly. And it can, of course, help you set realistic goals, which means you're more likely to succeed with your English learning. Whatever your level is today, I want you to be happy with it. Don't compare, be happy and slowly work forward step by step to get better. This video is going to help you with that. Let me explain how it works. So I'm going to ask you 30 questions, most of them on a kind of multiple choice basis. Questions will be based on language knowledge, including vocabulary, grammar, idioms, collocations, also your listening ability a little bit. And then the questions start very easy and then they get harder and harder, basically on the CEFR going from A1 right up to C2. The way to do it, as you watch the questions, make a note of which ones you get right. And then at the end, look at the total. And if you score 1 to 5, you're probably an A1 beginner level. If you score between 6 and 10, you're probably an A2 lower intermediate. If you score between 11 and 15, you're probably a B1 kind of intermediate level, maybe an IELTS 4 to 5. If you score 16 to 20, you're probably a B2 kind of upper intermediate, IELTS 5.5 to 6.5. If you score 21 to 25, you're probably a C1, hooray, and that is advanced IELTS 6.5 to 7.5. And holy moly, if you are 26 to 30, you're probably a C2, which is a proficient user of English. Basically, kind of IELTS 8 and 9. These are approximate scores. And remember, really, this video is just for fun, but to give you an idea, a rough idea of where you stand. Okay, let's begin at the beginning. Beginning quite easy questions. Okay, questions 1 to 5 are around level A1, beginner level. I'll ask you the question and give you 4 answers. You choose one, and I'll give you about 5 seconds to answer, and then I'll give you the answer. Okay, let's begin. Question number 1. You meet your friend at work, and your friend asks, "How's it going?" How would you answer? A, it's later than usual. B, I'm fine, thanks. And you? C, business as usual. D, you're welcome. The correct answer would be B, I'm fine, thanks. And you? However, if you put C, business as usual, you actually get 2 points because that's a great answer. Shows you have a higher level. Let's move on to question number 2. Question number 2, you're talking about your daily routine. Which sentence correctly describes something you do every day? The sentence is, I blank breakfast at 8 a.m. Is it A, am eating, B, eats, C, eat, D, eating? And the correct answer is C. I eat breakfast at 8 a.m. Next question. Question number 3. You're planning to meet a friend in the city. Your friend asks, what time shall we meet tomorrow? And you say, A, let's meet at 7 o'clock. B, I have 2 brothers. C, it's next to the bank. D, I'm fine, thank you. And the answer is A. Let's meet at 7 o'clock. Nice. Question number 4. You are in France, Paris, and telling your friend about a famous place you're visiting in Paris. Which sentence is correct? A, I'm at the Eiffel Tower in Paris. B, I'm at Eiffel Tower in Paris. C, I'm at Eiffel Tower in the Paris. D, I'm at the Eiffel Tower in the Paris. And the correct answer is A. It's the Eiffel Tower or the Eiffel Tower. Paris doesn't have a determiner, the. It's in Paris. Next one. Question number 5. You're describing your ability to speak English to a new classmate. Which sentence is correct? A, I can speak Singlish. B, I can speak English. C, I can speaking English. D, I speak can English. And the answer is B, I can speak English. Excellent. Keep a note of how many you have. Let's move on to the next level. Question 6, A2 level. Right. Question 6. You're telling a friend, another friend, about a trip you took last weekend. Which sentence is correct? A, I go to the beach. B, I gone to the beach. C, I went to the beach. D, I've gone to the beach. The correct answer here is C, I went to the beach. You want to use the simple past to talk about that trip last weekend. Question number 7. Listening. Listen carefully. What do you think this person is doing? Go straight on, turn right at the traffic lights, and you'll see it just in front of you. A, turning right. B, watching a film. C, asking for a light. D, giving directions. The answer is D, giving directions. Go straight on, turn right at the lights, etc. Question number 8. Okay, in question 8, when talking about your job, which of the following is correct? A, I am teacher, I work in school. B, I am a teacher, I work on school. C, I'm a teacher, I work in a school. D, I am teacher, I work at school. And the answer is C. I'm a teacher. I work in a school. Next, question number 9. You're discussing plans for the weekend with your family. Which sentence would you use? A, I think I will go fishing. B, I'm going to go fishing. C, I'm going fishing. D, I might go fishing. What did you say? If you said A, 1 point. If you said B, 1 point. Actually, if you said C, 1 point, or D, 1 point. If you said all of them, you get 2 points because all of them are correct. The thing is with multiple choice, if there's not enough context, sometimes some of the different answers can be correct. I think I will go fishing is, you're undecided. It's probable. I'm going to go is a plan you have. I'm going fishing is a plan you've fixed. You've got it in your schedule. I might go fishing is the future possibility. They're all correct. Question number 10. In question number 10, you're comparing your hometown with a new city which you are visiting. Which would be the correct sentence? My hometown is blank than this city. A, more peaceful. B, peacefuler. C, most peaceful. D, way peaceful. And the answer is A, more peaceful. Peaceful, we would use more peaceful. Peacefuler doesn't really exist. Adjectives, normally with 3 or more syllables, you'll put more in front of it. Most is the superlative for more than 2 things. But here we're just comparing 2 things, right? Way peaceful, no. You could say way more peaceful, but not just way peaceful. Great. That's the end of A2 level. I hope you're keeping a note of how many you have right. Let's move on to the next level, which is B1. Right, question number 11. Okay, the first one for this block at B1. What are you going to do after work today? The answer, I blank some friends for dinner. A, met. B, am meeting. C, meets. D, am meet. And the answer is B, I'm meeting some friends for dinner. It's the only one that expresses the future. Present continuous to express a future idea, a future activity that is scheduled and organized already. Notice that even though the question asks, what are you going to do? You can use different future forms in the answer. You don't have to imitate the form of the question. It depends on the context, as always. Question number 12. Question number 12. What were you doing when I called you yesterday? When I called you. Blank dinner ready. A, I'm getting dinner ready. B, I got dinner ready. C, I was getting dinner ready. D, I get dinner ready. And here the best answer is C, I was getting dinner ready. When we're talking about an activity in process, when another one interrupts, we normally use was getting. It's called the past continuous tense. I was doing something when another activity happened. I was getting dinner ready when you called. Right, question number 13. Question 13, you're planning a weekend trip with a friend in winter. Oh, lovely, how lucky. Which sentence is correct? A, if it will snow, we are staying indoors and watching movies. B, if it snows, we stay indoors and watch movies. C, if it snows, we will stay indoors and watch movies. D, if it snows, we stayed indoors and watched movies. And the answer is C. If it snows, we will stay indoors and watch movies. It's called a first conditional First clause is the present simple tense, second clause with will. And this is to describe things that might happen or are likely to happen, right? If it snowing in winter, it might happen. In that condition, this is what we will do. Great. Next one. Question 14. A friend is unwell, so they are sick. What advice do you give them? A. You should to see a doctor. B. You ought see a doctor. C. You must to see a doctor. D. You should see a doctor. And the answer is D. You should see a doctor. Should and ought are very similar, but should doesn't take two. Ought takes two. Must is a bit stronger, but it's okay for advice, but you don't say must to. You say must see a doctor. The only one that works grammatically, you should see a doctor. 15. Question number 15. So you're telling a friend what to buy in a bar. Which sentence best matches this picture? Is it A, can you buy some coffee and a few bottles of water? B, can you buy some coffees and a few bottles of water? C, can you buy some coffee and a little bottle of water? D, can you buy a coffee and a few bottles of water? And the answer is B. Can you buy some coffees and a few bottles of water? The main thing here is coffee as a countable is a cup of coffee. A coffee, two coffees, some coffees. That's a cup of coffee for drinking. Coffee as an uncountable will refer to coffee powder, right? A bag of coffee powder or a bag of coffee beans. Here it's 4 coffees countable. Great. That's the end of the B1 level. If you're ready, let's move up to B2. Right. We're moving up to question 16, and this is the B2 level, right? Remember, keep a note of how many you're getting correct. Question 16. This is a grammar and pronunciation question. So, notice in particular the stress as well as the grammar. Listen carefully and tell me which is the best question to this answer. So the answer is, Van Gogh painted this picture in 1850. Which is the best question? Who painted this? When was it painted? Who was this picture painted by? What did Van Gogh paint? And the answer is, when was it painted? That's the best one because you'll notice the stress was Van Gogh painted this picture in 1850. We're stressing 1850, which supposes the question is asking when rather than who or what did he paint. Tricky. Now, question 17. Remember, you've got 5 seconds to answer. So you're talking about your experiences with learning languages. Which sentence is correct? A, I have learned English for 2 years. B, I learned English since 2 years. C, I'm learning English for 2 years. D, I've learned English since 2 years. The correct answer is I have learned English for 2 years. Of course, we use for with a period of time. So 2 years is 4, and it's with the present perfect tense. Okay, question number 18. So you are speculating, thinking, why a friend didn't come to class yesterday. Which of these is not possible in this context? A, he might have forgotten about the class. B, he should have forgotten about the class. C, He can't have forgotten about the class. D. He must have forgotten about the class. Right. The one that is not possible, he should have forgotten about the class. He should have forgotten means that he didn't, but you think it was a good idea. He should have. And here that doesn't make sense because you're speculating why they didn't come. Okay, question 19. You're giving advice to a friend who's feeling overwhelmed with work. Which sentence correctly uses a phrasal verb for this context? A. You should take off a hobby to relax. B. You should take up a hobby to relax. C. You should take out a hobby to relax. D. You should take on a hobby to relax. And the answer is to take up a hobby, which means to begin a hobby. Question 20. Listen carefully and tell me, when does this story take place? Listen carefully. So, I get to the house, knock on the door, and then I suddenly get a strange feeling like a surprise was going to happen. When does the story take place? A. Right now. B. In the future. C. In the past. D. Never. It's hypothetical. One more time. So I get to the house, knock on the door, and then I suddenly get a strange feeling like a surprise was going to happen. And the answer is C, in the past. It's the classic case of using the present simple tense to describe an activity in the past, a story in the past. Great. Let's move on. So we're really upping the game now, coming into the kind of C1 level. Question 21. Which of the following expresses regret about not applying for a job opening? A. If I knew about the job vacancy, I would apply. B. If I would have known about the job vacancy, I had applied. C. If I had known about the job vacancy, I would have applied. D. If I know about the job vacancy, I will apply. And the answer is C. If I had known about it, I would have applied. Third conditional. Let's move on to number 22. Which is the best missing word? Too many people are living below the poverty blank. Is it A, the poverty limit, B, the poverty line, C, the poverty border, D, the poverty level? Okay, the correct collocation here is the poverty line. We talk about the poverty line, that line that separates people who are in poverty and those who are not. Number 23. Here's the context. You're discussing the long-term impact of a decision made in the past. Which sentence correctly does this? A. If I didn't move to London, I wouldn't have spoken English so fluently now. B. If I hadn't moved to London, I wouldn't be speaking English so fluently now. C. If I wouldn't move to London, I wouldn't be speaking English so fluently. D. If I hadn't moved to London, I wouldn't have spoken English so fluently now. Right, and the answer is B. This is a mixed conditional, right? Talking about the decision in the past or the moving to London in the past, and the impact now is that if I hadn't moved to London, I wouldn't be speaking English so fluently now, because it's now. D is talking completely in the past without that connection to now. Number 24. Which phrase could be used to mean he tried his best to win? A. He pulled all the stops to win. B. He pulled all his stops to win. C. He pulled out all the stops to win. D. He pulled out all his stops to win. Now, how good are you with your idioms, right? Well, the answer here is C. He pulled out all the stops to win. And if you'd subscribe to my 150 idioms course, you would know that, my friend. Let's look at question 25. Collocations. Which sentence has the correct collocation? A. We must take drastic measures to combat climate change. B. We must take heavy measures to fight climate change. C. We must do big steps to battle against climate change. D. We must make strong actions to defeat climate change. And the correct collocation, well, is A, drastic measures, to take drastic measures, meaning significant, big measures, right? Okay, good. Okay, we're coming in now to the C2 level. We're going to separate the proficient from the advanced. This is where it really happens, right? Question 26. Are you ready? So imagine you're at an international conference and you're networking with professionals from around the globe. You strike up a conversation with someone who seems to be evading questions about their work. How would you describe this person's behavior without being overly critical? Okay. Would you say they are A, beating around the bush, B, keeping their cards close to their chest, C, jumping on the bandwagon, D, letting the cat out of the bag? 5 seconds. The answer here, the best answer would be they are keeping their cards close to their chest, right? They're not revealing all the information that they have. They're maybe evading your questions. Right, number 27. It's a vocabulary question, but we're really upping the ante. So imagine you're writing an article, right, for an international magazine about the resurgence of interest in traditional folk music around the world. Which is the best word here to fill the gap? Here's the sentence. Traditional folk music has undergone a remarkable blank, witnessing a fusion with contemporary genre that has both revitalized and preserved its essence. A, conundrum. B, metamorphosis. C, juxtaposition. D, anomaly. Metamorphosis. B is the answer. And those of you who speak Latin languages can probably guess that, right? Metamorphosis means a change, basically. Now then, 28. Come on, 28. Some reading for you. I want you to read this paragraph and then tell me what the writer is implicitly suggesting. I'll read it with you, okay? While technology advancements have undeniably contributed to reducing carbon emissions, we must not become complacent, assuming that technology alone will absolve us of our environmental responsibilities. What is the writer implicitly suggesting? A. Technology has not significantly impacted carbon emissions. B. Technological solutions should be the sole focus of environmental policies. C. Despite technological progress, individual and collective actions remain crucial. D. Environmental policies have had little to no effect on technological advancements. 5 seconds. You didn't know I was going to test your reading as well, did you? So the answer here is C. Despite the progress, individuals and collective action remains crucial, right? We can't just rely on technology to do it. So true. Question 29, coming along. Here it is. You're explaining to a friend why you enjoy studying English, because it's great, right? And you want to express that learning a new language allows you to meet interesting people and it helps you understand different perspectives. Which idiomatic expression best summarizes the benefits that you feel? A, of language learning, right? A, it pushes the envelope. B, it's the best of both worlds. C, it opens doors. D, it hits the nail on the head. Best answer here is it opens doors. Gives you opportunities, right? To meet new people, understand points of view. The last question, would you believe it? And it's a collocation question. Which is the correct collocation, right? When somebody doesn't know what to do, they can say, A, I don't have the smallest idea what to do. B, I don't have the lightest idea what to do. C, I don't have the faintest idea what to do. D, I don't have the tiniest idea what to do. Well, the best answer here, in fact, the only answer, is C. I don't have the faintest idea. We talk about the faintest idea. You can also say the slightest idea, but none of the others. It's C. That's it. That's the final question. Make a tally, add up how many you've got, and find out what level you are. Remember, if you're from 1 to 5, A1. If you're 6 to 10, A2. 11 to 15, B1. 16 to 20, B2. 21 to 25, C1. 25 to 30, you're a C2. Proficient, like me, on most days at least. So there you have it. I hope you enjoyed that. And I wonder, what score did you get? Let me know down in the comments below. And not only the score, but then what level are you? And do you think you really are that level? Is this accurate? Do remember that your 4 English skills may be at different levels. It's very, very normal, right, for somebody's reading and listening skills to be higher than their speaking and writing skills. This was more a test of knowledge rather than those skills. But if you want a perfect test, not perfect, but a more accurate test, I suggest you go and check out the IELTS test and go and take it. It'll help you identify exactly where you are, especially if you're going to migrate abroad or go and study in a English-speaking university. Now, the more interesting question is, now that you know the level that you're at, what are you going to do with that? Well, I'm going to suggest 2 things. First, start finding and studying materials at your level or slightly above. Secondly, focus on your weaknesses. Look at where you made mistakes and focus in on those weaknesses. Now, you can do that by looking at the internet. You can browse around, find lots of good materials, ignore the bad materials. There's lots of those too. And you can set up your own study plan. Absolutely. You can also check out my website, the Keith Speaking Academy, where there are different courses specifically focused on IELTS speaking training, but to develop your speaking skills so that you can speak English much more confidently. Move from being a struggling English student to being a confident English speaker. If you are, for example, at a B1 level, intermediate, kind of IELTS 4 to 5, my fluent grammar course would be ideal for you. If you are a B2, maybe C1, around IELTS 6 to 7, then my IELTS Speaking Success Get a Band 7 Plus Gold course would be ideal for you. You can check out all the details in the links below. If you are interested in the gold course, click on the link. You'll find a lovely discount for you. Whatever you decide to do, I will always be here to support you on your English learning journey, especially with your speaking skills. So thank you so much for watching, for doing the test. I hope you enjoyed it. Give me a like if you did. Remember to subscribe, turn on notifications, and I will see you either in one of my courses and in the next video. Take care, my friend. All the best now. Bye-bye.